Okay, today I want to show you a couple of exercises that use the circle of fifths, but going backwards. So it's a circle of fourths. And I'm going to show you two exercises. The first one is based on shell voicings. Okay, and I'm going to start with G and go around the circle of fourths using G. Now I would advise you to write down all the chords to start with, and later try to memorize them. There's only 12 chords to memorize, and it's a very important sequence to keep in mind, actually. So I'm going to start with the two shapes, only two shapes I'm going to use here, because I'm only using dominant seventh chords. Throughout the whole exercise, throughout the whole video, we're only playing dominant seventh chords, okay? So this is a typical G7. Okay, where we can see the root, the seventh and the third, like this. And then if I go to C7, that's my second shape. Only two shapes throughout, okay? So I'm going from G7, I'm going to C7, and I'll keep following the circle of fourths to F7. Now I could go to shape here actually with an open string, but what I'll do instead is go from F to the B flat here. Okay, you can see where I am at B flat. Okay, and then I'm going to E flat here. You can see I'm still using only two shapes. A flat here, D flat, G flat or F sharp. And here I'm going to go, instead of going to the B7 here, I've decided to go, an arbitrary choice, to go to the B7 here, on the 7th fret, E7, A7, D7, and then that's it, back home to G7. Okay, so all dominant chords, starting here, going to the C, I'll play that again, going to the F, going to the B flat, going to the E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B7, E7, A7, D7, back to G. So what I would recommend is that you try and play that with metronome or drums, and try and follow a steady rhythm so that you can play these seamlessly, and repeat in your head, try to remember what chords you are playing actually, okay? At least the root note. So let me try this with my drums here. Okay, so that's the first exercise. The other exercise I want to show you, and you've seen actually here in the first exercise, we've used the shell voicings in the bottom four strings. And now we're going to move to the top three strings, and I want to show you three arpeggio shapes, and these are the only three arpeggio shapes that I want you to use throughout the exercise. So what are these three arpeggio shapes? The first arpeggio shape I want you to look at is this one, and I'm going to start it from the root of A, okay? And once again, it's a dominant chord, so it's a major chord with a flat 7, and okay, so this sound should be quite familiar, and that's an A7th chord, So I've got the root here, I've got the third here, I've got the fifth here, and I've got the seventh here. And this is a straight arpeggio going 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, that's the first shape I want you to remember. And obviously you can use this shape to play all sorts of chords. If you want to play a B flat, if you want to play a C. So this is quite a convenient, even an A flat. Sorry. A flat 7, okay? So that was the first shape based on A. The second shape I want you to look at is, I'm going to start it on D, okay? And once again, I'm going to go, but instead of doing, I don't want to climb up like this. I want to do something a bit different. So I'm going to do, okay, so that gives it a very nice sound, although I'm still playing 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, it looks very different to the first arpeggio because actually I'm doing a sort of pivot. So I'm doing 1, 3, and then I'm pivoting down to the 5 an octave below. Instead of playing the 5 here, I'm playing it here. But it gives me a very nice sound, I think. Okay, that's starting with the root on the second string. Okay, the third shape I want to show you starts on the top string. Okay, and I'm going to use G as an example. I could have used F or A or whatever. I'm going to use G as an example, and I'm going to, this time I'm going to pivot sooner than the previous arpeggio. So I'm going to play the root here, and I'm going to pivot to the third here. Okay, so this is a 1, 3, 5, 7, but it feels, it looks, and it sounds completely different from the two previous arpeggios. But it's still a 1, 3, 5, 7. So I want you to really practice these shapes on A, on D, and remember that you can use the root doesn't have to start on A or on D. If I want to do an E, I could do an E7. Okay? Or if I want to do an E flat. So this is very powerful actually, because you can choose a root anywhere, and depending on what string you're on, you can choose one of the three shapes. This, if you happen to be here, and if you happen to be, this is an F7, because I started here. Okay, so you can see that you've got three arpeggios, which are all 1, 3, 5, 7, but all three arpeggios are different and they sound different, which is going to make the exercise, the next exercise, very interesting musically. Because if we start, say, with a G7, okay, where would you go for G7? I would naturally go here, okay? I don't want to use open strings, so I would go here. And so I know that my shape is, my next chord is going to be a C. So I'm going to go here actually. Okay, so I'm starting my root here. And then I'm going to go to F. So where would I go to F? This is a, I could have gone here as well, on the second string. So So I have a choice here. In the case of F, I can either go or, and that's a question of personal preference, or voice leading, depending where you are in a song, for example. You might decide to choose one arpeggio and not the other. So we got to F. The next arpeggio is B flat. Okay, this is a nice B flat here. After B flat, we've got an E flat. Now remember, we're going through the circle of fourths exactly like the previous exercise, but instead of playing shell voicings, now we are playing 4-note arpeggios, but we're talking about the same dominant chords. Huh? Okay, so we got to E flat. Okay, after E flat, we have A flat. I decided to do the A flat here. And then we've got D, except here I have an open string and I don't want an open string. So where can I get another D flat? I'll go here actually. Okay. You can see C sharp, C sharp. Okay, now if I decide that I can use open strings, I can start my Okay, it's a little bit more complicated because you have to adjust to the fact that you've got an open string. So we got to D flat. After D flat, so we are here actually, and then my next chord is going to be a G sharp, sorry, a G flat. Okay, so where can I get a G flat? I can get a G flat here. Okay, G flat or F sharp. After that, I have to go to B. And this looks like a good B to use here, a good root. Okay, after B I need to go to E, and this is a good one to choose. And you can see that you can do a lot of interesting things with these arpeggios. Huh? At the moment I'm playing them 1, 3, 5, 7, but you can imagine all the permutations that you can apply to these, and I'm not going to go through this. You can do all sorts of chromaticisms as well, but let's stick to the simple exercise first. So you've got all of these 3 shapes under your fingers, and then you can jump and decide where you want to use the next root. Okay, so where did we get to? We got to E. After E, we've got A, so that seems like an obvious. Okay, I could have chosen this A here as well. That's a possibility. But there's no harm in using the straight arpeggio from time to time with the root on the 3rd. After that, I've got a D. And then I'm back to G. So I've gone through the whole circle of fourths using these dominant 7 4-note arpeggios, but using a different, you could say, a different voicing of the arpeggio every time, actually, which is going to make the exercise very interesting. Now, what you can do is play this video with the chords that we played at the beginning. Play it as like a backing track, and then you can start playing your chords over that backing track, and you can slow it down on. Can you see how I'm going through all of these different arpeggios, but they all sound different? It doesn't sound like I'm doing an exercise with the same pattern repeating, because I'm breaking the pattern every time, or nearly every time I change chords. So I would definitely encourage you to learn these three very easy shapes. Actually, they are relatively easy to learn, and you will see that the possibilities afterwards are endless, really, of doing permutations and choosing different chords and voicings.